Welcome back to Idiots One Podcast. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Bailey.
And Bailey, before we start today, I just want to talk to you about something.
Oh, yeah? What do you want to talk to me about today, Taylor?
I want to talk to you about these old fashions that we made.
We?
I mean, you.
Yeah, it was me.
Sorry. I really don't like it when people do things better than me. So I will fucking stab you and play with your blood. But anyway, these are really good. I like them. We bought, nice glasses, nice little cube, not cube, sphere ice makers, some high quality bourbon.
I don't know if I'd go high quality. It's pretty good, though.
No, it was top shelf because we only make it with top shelf ingredients, okay? Because anything less would make us less of a person, and I don't want to be that, okay?
I mean, that's fair. That's a fair perspective, for sure.
And I think in order to add class to everything, we should do this with every episode now.
I don't know if we should drink bourbon old fashions with every episode we do.
You're right, we'll do margaritas, but only top shelf, okay?
Yeah.
Top shelf margaritas. But anyway, I wanted to say all that before we started our movie today.
Well, you kind of already gave away our movie already. You
I
already
did not
gave it away.
I did not do that.
You did. You said you wanted to stab me and play with my blood, and everyone who is a fan of horror of the, late 90s or early 2000s has probably seen American Psycho, which is where that quote is from.
You are a stupid, ugly bitch, and I hate you.
Ah, another well-known American Psycho quote.
So who was the writer and director of American Psycho, you might be asking yourself? Well, and ironically enough, this will end up being a point later on, okay? But American Psycho was released in the year 2000, okay? It is based off of a book by Bret Easton Ellis, okay, which came out in
92, I think.
Yeah. So the book and the film take place in the 80s, okay? But the writer of this one were two people, Mary Harron, who also directed it,
Yep.
and Guinevere Turner,
Yes.
who is in the movie. But we'll get to that later. This stars Patrick Bateman.
You mean Christian Bale?
No, I mean Patrick Bateman, because Christian Bale was unknown at this time, so it doesn't really count. But it's got Christian Bale in it, Jared Leto, Matt Ross, and George Lucas, I think would be the big people. Well, maybe not Matt Ross. I've seen
Did you say George Lucas?
Sorry, Josh Lucas.
You're not even going to mention William Dafoe?
I mean, Willem Dafoe was in it with Reese Witherspoon and Chloe Sevigny. Love her too. But those are the main people. But if you had to summarize this,
If I had to summarize this,
how would you summarize the masterpiece of American Psycho?
so the closest thing to a spoiler-free summary I could give is it's the story of Patrick Bateman, who is a yuppie in the late 80s. He has a lot of wealth, and he cares about himself, and he cares about how people perceive him, and he's a little bit crazy.
Well, so I would say it is the 1980s, late 1980s, Wall Street, all right, height of the yuppie boom. Patrick Bateman is in Murders and Executions. And
You mean mergers and acquisitions?
That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
I said murders and executions.
Okay.
But yeah, because he's in mergers and acquisitions, he hates his life. And in order to keep up the glamorous lifestyle that he is, he also hides a very dark secret, which is that he likes to kill people. And basically the movie is about Patrick indulging in his fantasies of murdering people
Yeah.
in the 1980s.
Yeah.
But on a scale from 1 to 5.
So this is really easy, actually. Normally it's hard to give a score, but this is a 4.5 from me. It's almost perfect.
So let me ask you, why is it not a 5?
I think it's because it hasn't aged as well as I'd hoped it would. Like, obviously it's a period piece set in the 80s, so a lot of the stuff isn't going to be as directly relevant today, even though a lot of the, anti-consumerism elements are still relevant today, but a lot of the terms and stuff that they used have been aged out. Like, there's a lot of comments about like homosexuality and stuff like that in it, and now that's not generally something that we discuss, or it's not that it's not discussed. It's not, you don't talk shit about it. It's not something to make fun of or talk shit about.
Like they do in the movie.
Yeah, so just because of concepts like that, which would for the time makes sense for sure, but in my opinion hasn't aged super well and has lowered the score. But had you asked me that 10 years ago, it would have been a 5.
And I completely agree with you. on everything. Like I'm a 4.5 too for the exact same reason, because of comments like that. But you're right, it is a period piece, and that's why it's a 4.5 and not lower. I can't justify giving it anything less than a 4.5. I can justify not giving it a 5 because it hasn't aged well, but anything lower than a 4.5 I think is criminal, which is why when RogerEbert.com gave it a 3 out of 4 or a 4 out of 5 on our scale, kind of was a little upset about that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinions, even though some of them are perceivably wrong.
Like Roger Ebert. Completely wrong on this one. But no, I agree. I think that it has aged poorly, and there are certain themes in there and dialogue choices is what I will call them that haven't aged the best.
Yeah, exactly.
But everything else, great. But that's our, I would say that's our spoiler-free summary of it. Because, I mean, anything else, I would recommend you go out and see it. Like, it's been out since 2000, like I said. So if you haven't seen it by now, you probably should. But because it's a really good movie, I'm going to give it a spoiler-free summary section, and even though it's been out forever.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm right there with Taylor. If you haven't seen this, you definitely ought to watch it before you listen to the rest of the podcast, because this is a movie that will be less impactful for you if you know exactly what's going on.
And I will say that it's also a movie that is universally misunderstood, but you won't know that if you haven't seen it. So if you've seen it and you're like, oh, the movie's about this, I don't think it is. But we'll get into that in the spoilers, which we will transition to right now. That's some great transition music.
It's very transition-y.
I like the transition music.
It really puts us in the flow.
It does put us in the flow. But in the flow of this, what would you say the movie is about? Like if I was to ask you what is the main point of this movie, what is the message it's trying to convey, what would you say?
There's lots of different ways to interpret it. The way I interpret it is it's basically anti-consumer, anti-like high capitalism or anything like that. It makes a clear distinction between, people who have and people who don't. And it's about striving for status, but it's about how even once you have it, you're not happy, you're still, miserable. And it's about like the dangers of consumerism and misogyny and all of that.
So I would say that it's about it's the best feminist movie I've ever seen. Like it is the feminism movie. And I think that if you don't see it as a feministic piece, then you've misunderstood it.
Yeah.
Especially considering the writer and director, or the writers and director are women, right? Like they took on this role for a movie that is very, I mean, a lot of people say it's misogynistic.
Well, it is, but it's not, it's in a satirical way.
Right. Like it, and the other issue that I have with this is everybody knows Patrick Bateman. And everybody wants, like, if you look up articles, you can get his exact skincare routine, his exact workout routine, everything that this dude does that embodies the yuppie culture that the book and the film are very, very much against. Yeah. Because I agree that they're trying to warn you against the dangers of it. And the way that the film projects it is that when you get to that social status of being the top dog or whatever in the yuppie culture, you become so basic and interchangeable that you have no personality anymore. Everything about you is like what Patrick Bateman says is, you can shake my hand and feel flesh and look into my eyes and see my cold gaze, but I simply am not there.
Yeah.
And I think that is the whole movie, because what it's trying to convey is that if you fall into the capitalistic nature, then that is what you'll become, which also includes with the misogyny in the film, because yeah, it is in there. There are tons of ways that I can see you going, oh, well, this is a misogynistic piece against women. But like you said, it is satirizing that, saying that if you engage in this behavior, you are just as bad as these people. Like you are a soulless individual, and you're an idiot.
That's a perspective I get. I think that the movie I think it's done really well. You said it's the best feminist piece. The issue with it is a lot of people who see it as a movie that promotes misogyny rather than demonizes it are people who I think the satire just goes over their head.
No, 100%.
Like, I think that that's all it is, or they're intentionally looking for other stuff. It's not to get off topic, but it's like South Park is super satirical, but some people just see it as like potty humor, which
Right.
it also is, but also satire.
Well, and a lot of people look at this movie as a super positive capitalism movie about murdering women. And, one of the things that I find really great about the film and the way that it does this is it never really shows you the murders. It does everything off screen. And you see his lifestyle and everything that he does on screen. So you relate as the viewer more to that aspect of it and start to humanize him when you really can't, which I think is what the film does great.
I mean, that's fair.
Well, I mean, am I wrong on that one though? Because like it doesn't show anything, so you're not. I mean, you can be super repulsed by the violence.
Well, so I agree that it doesn't show anything, but you do kind of see the repercussions or the consequences of his potential actions.
Right, but you never see them because if we see them, and I think that one of the best parts is when he's doing his ab exercises, which you can do 1,000 of those now. And he's watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the background because the screams of women is something that he enjoys.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a great comparison because if you take Leatherface and Patrick Bateman, we see what Leatherface does. We see the death and the destruction. We see him kill people, and it's like, oh, well, I can't really, sympathize with you or relate to you in any way because you're a murdering psychopath.
And the only actions we see you do are murdering psychopath stuff.
Right, but the majority of the film, like Patrick says at the end that he's killed 40, 50 people, right? But how many of those do we actually see? Like there's a lot that we do not see. And even the ones that we do see, like when Paul Allen dies, we don't see it. We see him axe him in the face.
And we see the blood squirt, but we don't see the axe go in.
No, and even when we look at his body, we only see the lower half that has not been touched. The top half that has been touched is completely off camera, and we never see it.
Right.
And even when he kills Elizabeth, he does it underneath the sheets. Which, fun fact about Elizabeth, that is the writer. If you didn't know that,
Guinevere Turner.
But also he has Sabrina, or no, Christy. Sorry, I get the Christy, because he kills Christy with a chainsaw.
Yeah, I think that him watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre was probably foreshadowing.
Oh, also a fun little trivia fact that I'm going to throw in there. When I was researching this, apparently Christian Bale would stay, like since he's a method actor, he would stay in the costume during the chainsaw takes, like between them, and wouldn't cover up. So the only thing that he had was a sock on his wiener while wearing shoes and holding a chainsaw. And he would stay like that in between all the takes.
I would probably say like that in between the takes too, just because getting dressed every time seems like a lot.
Well, even if you throw a robe on, it would fuck up the blood.
Yeah, exactly.
But, he's a method actor, and I get it. It was just, I thought it was funny.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it.
But even with that kill, you see him chase her down the hall, and then you see him drop the chainsaw, but you see the aftermath of it. You don't actually see the kill. So I think that we as the viewer are supposed to sympathize and relate to him more. Because we relate more to the capitalistic consumer lifestyle of the American dream more than we relate to, a murdering psychopath. So it shows that humanity in him that I don't think is there, even though he does say that he is, what's the quote? I forgot to write it down, but that he's like the most in touch with his human side as possible when he's talking with his girlfriend, Reese Witherspoon.
I think he's talking shit. Like,
no,
he's not being genuine.
I think he's being genuine in that one.
When he's talking about the music, when he's talking about listening.
With Evelyn? No, when he breaks up with her.
Oh.
And she goes, you're not human. And he goes, I'm more in touch with my human side than ever before. I think that was because he was killing people. We'll get to that. But one thing I do want to talk about is the intro to this sets up the entire movie. And it is one of the best openings of all time.
Oh, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Because you get the exact same speech from the waiters who look the exact same and sound the exact same while delivering the speech. And then even when it goes to, you know, Patrick and his friend sitting at the table who we haven't been introduced to yet, they have the most superficial conversation I have ever heard in my life. And then the best part about it is that it introduces the misogyny by saying this is a chick restaurant. Why did we come here? You know, and it's because Bateman didn't give whoever head.
Yeah.
So we have that misogynistic, and then it also sets up in the context.
It was the maitre d'.
The maitre d', that was it. And then it also sets up in the context that every single person in this movie is interchangeable. But it's when Carruthers comes back from the bathroom, you know, and he's like, oh yeah, I just saw Paul Allen. And then Bateman goes, that's not Paul Allen. Paul Allen's over there, which is not even Paul Allen over there.
No.
Because Paul Allen is Jared Leto, and none of them look like Jared Leto. But that sets up this whole movie of everybody in this society is literally the exact same and so interchangeable that it doesn't matter because they're not people anymore. They all look the same, they all act the same, and you confuse them so easily.
Well, I mean, that theme happens more than once throughout the film. Like, even after that, there are times when Christian Bale's character is called Marcus instead of Patrick. And there's a period of time where he pretends to be Paul Allen, and everyone just is like, okay. Right,
but what I'm saying is, like, that sets it up for the rest because that's the first instance where if you're really paying attention, you go, that's not Paul Allen. That doesn't. I mean, on your first viewing, you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
but that's the point. But on your second viewing, when you go through there, you're like, that's not Paul Allen. And even when Paul Allen comes in and says, you know, Marcus, what? Oh, hold on, I wrote down his last name. It's like Halberstein.
Yeah, something like that.
Let me see if I can find it. It is Marcus Halberstrom, who, ironically enough, since this is all about class and social status, he even says, he has confused me for Marcus Halberstrom, who wears the same clothing that he wears, the same brand, the same glasses, and even goes to the same barber, getting the exact same haircut, but Bateman's is slightly better.
Yeah.
So he can see how he could confuse the two. And then we both work at Pierce & Pierce for the mergers and acquisitions. We do the same thing.
Murders and executions?
Yeah, mergers and acquisitions. That's what I said. But I think that is one of the better parts of the movie because it really shows that these people aren't people.
Well, that's something that I like about this movie, too. It's just the dialogue everywhere. Because most of the dialogue in most scenes is super superficial, like you said, and shallow.
Well, and I think the best example of that is when they're all sitting at the table eating for the first time, and he complains whenever he takes Evelyn, and he goes, I was so happy to see that we got a good table. Relief washed over me. But they sit there, and they're talking about issues in the world. And Patrick says, no, we shouldn't be concerned about that. We should be concerned about the arms race, the homeless population, and basically everything that he lists sounds like a superficial news segment.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Most of his statements on social issues or political issues or anything like that, it sounds exactly like he's reading it from a headline. You know what I mean?
Well, and at the end of the movie, whenever Reagan is on there, and Bryce looks over at him and says, you know, what do you think about this? He goes, whatever. Because that's how he really feels. Like, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But he has to constantly one-up everybody and prove that he is superior to them. So he just reads everything off like what you said, like a news broadcast would be. He's a news anchor, and that's all that he is. All these headlines that he sees on the news that the anchor would read, boom, that's his opinion. We need to end the war. And then he doesn't really care, and you can see that because he stabs a homeless dude to death when he's trying to help him.
So we've talked a lot about his murders and stuff, like him stabbing homeless people and stomping dogs and stuff. Do you actually think he's doing it?
No.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone actually dies in this movie.
And have you read the book?
I have, but I read the book in like high school, so it's been a long time.
Okay, it's been a few years since I've read the book. I know that the book and the movie, like most of the movie is taken word for word from the book.
Super similar. It's the same with Fight Club, like super similar to the book.
Another movie that people misinterpret, but that's for another episode. But we hear the same dialogue that we would be reading from the book, but the murders are really toned down compared to what they are in the book. Because if I remember correctly, the book is extremely graphic and even details him eating.
Yeah, not just the murders. The sex in the book is more graphic. Pretty much everything that the movie has is in the book, only in more detail.
It's toned down compared to the book.
Yes, the movie is toned down.
The movie would be watching a porno on network television, and the book would be like getting the unrated XXX director's cut of your favorite porno.
Something like that.
Like Backdoor Sluts 9.
Okay.
If you don't get that reference, go watch
more
South Park.
Yeah.
But no, I don't believe that any of it is. And the only argument that I can make where the only person that he actually did kill was the homeless guy.
The homeless guy?
Yeah, the homeless guy, and that's it. Because I don't think that he killed Paul Allen.
You don't think so?
Well, but here's the deal, because I can see it both ways. Because he could, and here's my theory. Because I'll play devil's advocate here. He did kill Paul Allen. Here's why. Everybody gets everybody confused. Even when Detective Kimball, played by Willem Dafoe, comes to interview him, he says that he was in London and there have been sightings, but nothing has been confirmed. It's hard to confirm. And even at the end of the movie, when he confesses everything to his lawyer, and his lawyer looks at him and says, well, that can't be possible because I had dinner with Paul Allen twice last week in London, which was the same message that he left on his answering machine. So it is safe to say that throughout this whole movie, everybody gets everybody confused. There are very few people who really know who Patrick Bateman is, and there are very few people that really know who Paul Allen is. And because of that, you can make the argument that he did in fact kill Paul Allen. That was a real one, but he didn't kill Paul Allen. Like, he killed somebody who he thought was Paul Allen, but it wasn't Paul Allen, and it was somebody else. Or you could say that he did kill Paul Allen, and everybody's getting him confused with somebody else. That's why nobody said anything about the murders. I mean, I can see it both ways.
Yeah.
But me personally, I don't think any of the murders happened. I think the only one that could have actually happened was the homeless guy. But none of the others. Especially that last sequence.
Oh, the last sequence is insane. Even before the feed me the cat thing happens, everything about it is just doesn't appear based in reality. Like, I'm pretty confident that a majority of this movie is literally just Patrick Bateman living his life, and we are seeing him fantasizing what's occurring.
And that's what I think, because in the opening, the second scene when they go to the bar, right? And he says out loud to the bartender, "You're a stupid bitch. You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to, what is it? I want to kill you.
I want to stab you and play with your blood."
Play with your blood, yeah. And he says it to her out loud while she's doing stuff. So it makes you go,
oh, what the fuck?
Oh, wow. Okay, but she doesn't ever react to him. And a lot of the things that he says, especially like with the joke that we keep making about the murders and executions, where he flat out tells a girl that, and she hears mergers and acquisitions, makes me think that what we see is Patrick
being an unreliable narrator.
Yes, couldn't have said it better myself. And none of it actually happened, but it's what he imagines.
No, I completely agree. And I'm glad that you brought up the scenes where he says things that are completely off the wall and people don't react. Because that happens a number of times. Like you said, the murders and executions, or mergers and acquisitions. Or even when he goes into the laundromat and he's screaming at the workers.
You're a stupid fucking bitch. Oh, I'm going to kill you.
Like, to me, I don't think that actually happens. Like, I think he was obviously in there and he was upset because his friend shows up and he's like, oh yeah, can you deal with these people for me? And I think that's a direct quote.
Yes.
But I think that her showing up and him passing it off to her, I think that that's probably what actually happened. But I think him threatening them beforehand probably wasn't real.
No. Well, it's even the same thing when he's with Paul Allen and he gets him drunk and he says, I really like murdering people.
Yeah.
Like, it comes out and says it is very much, this is what I enjoy doing. I should kill more people. And then he just laughs at him,
Yeah.
which you could interpret it as him being drunk, but I interpret it as this isn't happening. He's just thinking it. But that's not what he is saying because, like you said, he is a very unreliable narrator. I really enjoyed the card scene,
The card scene?
the business card scene.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That one. Or can we talk about that one next?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. That, in my opinion, is the best scene in the whole movie.
Really?
Yes. Because the dialogue is fucking hilarious. How to nitwit like you get so tasteful. And I cannot believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card over mine. And when you look at all these cards, they are literally almost exactly the same. There are very minor details that are different, with like the eggshell and the bone and the raised lettering, and then here's the textured ones. But all the cards are basically the fucking same, and if you looked at them you couldn't tell, but they treat it as like the holy grail of one-upping people. Which, fun facts about this, that swooshing noise that when they open up the case or whatever was done by slowing down the unsheathing of a sword. And if you look in the top right corner of the Pierce and Pierce on all of the cards, it is mergers and acquisitions. The C is missing.
That's funny.
And every card also says that they're the vice president.
So I noticed that Paul Allen's card said he was the vice president, but I didn't notice anyone else's card saying that.
Yeah, Bateman is the vice president. Van Patten's the vice president. Bryce is the vice. Like, they all say vice president. Like, all the cards are the exact same, just with different names, with slightly different forms of white. But I think that scene is very important because it details that is one of the reasons why he wants to kill Paul Allen.
Oh, yeah, because he has a better business card than him.
And he can get into Dorsia. Nobody is in Dorsia
Yeah.
without a reservation. And also, when we get dinner tonight, if we don't have a fucking reservation, I don't want to go. But no, because Paul Allen can get in there, but everybody thinks that he's lying because nobody can get into Dorsia.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the inferiority complex of Patrick, which I think the movie basically, because it's really funny because Evelyn even says, why do you work at that job? Your dad practically owns the company.
Yeah, and you hate it.
And you hate it. And he goes, because I want to fit in.
Yeah.
And I think that's also important too, but that also signifies that his dad is a major player in this business. Like in Pierce and Pierce, you could argue that he's one of the founders or whatever. He runs the company. Patrick does not have to work. In fact, Patrick doesn't work because every time that we see him in the office,
he's just hanging out.
He's just hanging out. And he's more he's more worried about getting a reservation and going to lunch than doing his actual job, which would be the yuppie culture of like, I don't really care what I'm doing, but what is important is my 12:30 at whatever.
Yeah, as long as it looks like I'm doing something important.
Right. And the business cards are the pinnacle of that because it is who looks the most important based off of their business card, because the titles are the same. They work at the same place, doing the exact same job. They're all the vice president, all working at Pearson mergers and acquisitions. So it doesn't matter. But what matters is the presentation of it. And when you look at Paul Allen's card, kind of sucks. Like, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. But, Bateman looks at it and goes, I'm going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Because I am inferior to him because that is the best card.
Oh, yeah, it's way better.
Even though it's like, and if you haven't ever seen this, I highly encourage you just to look up the American Psycho business card scene because it's great.
Like Taylor said, it really shows the personalities of or the mindset that individuals of that time period are supposed to be in. Or
superficial.
Perceived. Exactly. Like yuppies of the late 80s. I think that they're portrayed so accurately based on my understanding, and I just think it was done so well.
Well, so I had to research it because before I watched this movie, I didn't know what the term yuppie meant. I had heard it occasionally, but I didn't know what it was. And then when I started doing research for it, the ultimate yuppie at the time in the late 80s, at the height of it, was Donald Trump, which is why Trump is mentioned several times in the movie.
Yeah, he didn't they say, isn't that Ivana Trump over there?
Yeah, he goes, oh, I'm stupid. Why would she be at whatever the restaurant's name was?
Yeah.
He goes, why would that? But he's, he's more like, even when they're driving in the car with Evelyn, he's like, is that Trump Tower? Look at that. And it was because Time Magazine ran an article on it, which you can look him up. But basically, his apartment in the 80s was like gold, 24 karat gold plated chandeliers, and like it's fucking marble everywhere. Like, it was the ultimate yuppie apartment, going way out of his way. And then they asked him, do you think that you're the ultimate yuppie? And he goes, yeah, I guess. Like, he didn't even care, but he was like, I guess I would be. But it was because he had, 24 karat gold inlay and trim that was around the walls, and the marble, like the most expensive apartment I've ever seen pictures of. And it looks good, had like the crystal chandeliers and or diamonds or whatever, but it was over the top.
How do you think the Wi-Fi was in there in the 80s?
I don't think there was Wi-Fi in the 80s.
Sounds fucking miserable to me. I wouldn't spend more than $200 a month on it without fucking Wi-Fi shit.
Nah, he was probably ahead of his time. But no, I think that is the best scene because it really shows you the yuppie mindset of, this is the most trend hip restaurant. Nobody can get into it. I'm inferior to you because you allegedly can get into it, but I think that you're lying because nobody can get a fucking
reservation at Dorsia.
Nobody can get a reservation at Dorsia. And I really, really love this scene, also because of the dialogue, but I don't think there's another scene that really personifies the movie more than that. Because that sets up the rest of the movie. That gives you the reason as to why he kills people. Because everybody is inferior, because he feels inferior to these people. So
I feel that. I'm here for it.
But yeah, that's why.
So my favorite scene's a little bit different. So my favorite scene is when he has Christy and Sabrina. That's not their actual names, but my favorite scene is the scene leading up to it where Sabrina's in like the bathtub and he's talking about how fine that champagne is. And he's like, I don't want you to get drunk, but that's a fine champagne you're not drinking. And how he's like, don't touch my watch. And, oh, you can wear one of the robes, but not that robe because it's the best robe. And it's just so funny. And how he gives them like names for him. He's like, I don't care what your name is. It's Sabrina. I don't care what your name is. It's Christy. Like, it's funny to me. And when Christy shows up and he's like, oh, you're not quite blonde, more dirty blonde, but I guess it'll work. I'm just like, damn. I'm like, that's funny. And then how he's checking himself out afterwards once he starts having sex with them, which we talked about it a little bit, but this is the difference between the unrated and the rated version. Happens in this scene as well.
The threesome scene is my second favorite scene in the whole movie.
My favorite by far.
Because of what you said. And it's also the fact that when he has sex with them, he is looking at himself in the mirror, flexing, winking, being like, oh, I'm hot shit, thinking that he is fucking them in the greatest of all time. And if you pay attention and actually look at their faces during
they look
this,
miserable.
They're like, wow, this dude sucks. Like, this is not fun at all. But in his mind, he's like, oh, I'm fucking you so hard right now. You're going to, fucking orgasm all over the place. Oh, yeah. And in their minds, they're like, is it over? This is bad. And I think that's funny.
Yeah, no, that scene was so funny. And once they've actually gone to bed and it's dark, like right when the watch thing happens and the night's about to end, I don't know if you noticed it, but as they're walking out, when he walks them out at the end of the night, and you see on their backs, they've got like scratches and cuts and stuff.
Yes.
Like, so I've seen this movie so many times, and that took me probably 2 or 3 viewings to notice. Like when you run into Sabrina later, she's like, oh, I don't know if I want to go again. I had to go to the hospital last time. But you never actually saw him do anything that could make them have to go to the hospital like you were talking about earlier.
All you see is him pull out a wire hanger and say, we're not done yet. And then it cuts to them leaving.
And when it cuts to them leaving, you can very briefly see like their upper backs and stuff as they're leaving. And they've got like scratch marks or cuts on them. And their faces even look like a little bit like bruised and disheveled. But it's really hard to tell because you only see them for like a split second before they turn around.
But that's that you're lesser than me mentality, and also the fact that we can use women and have them do whatever.
Absolutely.
That he personifies. But so fun fact about the watch, in the book, it is don't touch the Rolex. But because of the movie,
the Rolex was like, no.
They're like, no. There were very few companies that would allow their name to be used in the movie. So the watch had to be don't touch the watch instead of Rolex, like in the book. And there was one company, I can't remember which one it was, that specifically said everybody else in the movie but Patrick can wear it. Like, we don't want him associated with it. And the body bag scene where he drags out Paul Allen in the carry-on bag or whatever, the original company was like, ooh, that's what you're doing it for? We're not going to do this. Never mind. So they had to find somebody that was willing to let them put a dead body in it. And I think that was just, but that also like personifies the movie too. And the point that it's trying to make is that these brands were like, ooh.
That won't look good for our image.
No.
That's not very pro-capitalist.
Oh, you can't be doing that because you kill women. I don't know about that one. And I thought that was just funny. And also the threesome scene, Mary and Christian Bale sat down and watched tons of porn and then took notes on like positions and stuff.
That's funny.
But back to what you were saying with the difference between the unrated version. This is an NC-17 movie. And the whole reason it was reduced down to R was because of the threesome scene. The graphic violence was fine.
Yeah, like well, what you have to keep in mind is this movie was made in America, and in America, pornography is the worst thing, and violence is better than that. Whereas, in Europe and most other parts of the world, porn's not great. It's not like you should watch porn, but it's not as demonized as it is here, whereas violence is considered worse.
Right. It is worse to watch the news about bombings and, terrorist threats and people shooting each other on the streets in European countries. But it's okay to go to a topless nude beach.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. Who cares? It's a human body. Go for it. But in America, it's like, oh.
Oh, you blow stuff up? That's fine. Oh, you want to show a little bit of nipple? Hard no.
No, I can't blow up that pussy.
Yeah.
That was good. That one was good.
That was good.
But there's like 5 seconds of the threesome scene, I think, that was cut out in order for it to be less graphic, even though it's really not. And the classic quote, and this is how you can tell which version you've watched, even without it being rated. If you watch the version where he says, Christy, get on your hands and knees so that way Sabrina can see your ass. That's not what he says. He says, Christy, get on your hands and knees so that way Sabrina can see your asshole.
That hole is such a powerful word.
Can't have the hole.
Yeah. Ass is fine, hole is not.
But graphically murdering, Paul Allen and watching blood squirt all over someone, that's fine.
That's just a Tuesday night, baby. What's up?
A naked man running around with a chainsaw killing a woman.
No big deal.
And graphic drawings of boobs and vaginas being dismembered.
Totally fine, as long as you don't say asshole.
Yeah, I can't say asshole. So I'm sorry that this has turned into an NC-17 podcast because we said asshole.
Well, so asshole is actually fine unless you're talking about it as a part of someone's body. So if I was to say, oh man, Taylor's an asshole, totally fine. If I was to say, oh man, Taylor has a stinky asshole, totally fucked up. I can't say it.
Can't say that one. I don't have a stinky Butthole. Gotta say butthole. Can't say asshole. Oh, that was good. That was good. But yeah, no, I thought that was really funny. But that's the MPAA literally said, and that was the argument that they had the entire time. They were like, wait a second. We can show people getting dismembered, but that's where you draw the line. And it was very, very confusing. And even if you look at it today, a lot of people have made videos over the topic, but it's like, this is super confusing as to why this was NC-17.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, but the ratings never make sense because some of the things that they do or don't do just don't make fucking sense. Like whoever was on the board at the time was like, it's okay for him to say, let Sabrina stare at your ass. And then, Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it. That's fine because it's not eat her asshole.
Yeah.
It's eat it.
Yeah, had it been eat her asshole, it would have been NC-17.
It would have been NC-18. They would have had to make a new one for it. Like, no, that's basically an X-rated feature at that point. But no.
But you don't see any penetration for anyone who hasn't seen it, who is like, who doesn't know like that what we're making fun of. There's no penetration. It's not graphic, like, in my opinion.
So here's what I compare this movie to all the fucking time is, I'm going to look it up real quick, but have you ever seen the movie Antichrist?
I have. You recommended it like 6 years ago.
And it's great.
It's okay.
I don't think you understand. Lars von Trier. Okay, but that movie isn't rated. It is the MPAA did not rate that movie because there is a legitimate sex scene at the beginning of the movie where they hired 2 porn stars to fuck, and you literally see penetration. And he would not remove it at all. And they're like, okay, well, we can't rate this then because it would be rated X.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, oh, yeah, I can't do it. And it wasn't, but I mean, he had been a bigger person at this time. Like, this movie was supposed to have Leonardo DiCaprio as Patrick Bateman, but he pulled out of the project, and Christian Bale really wanted it. But everybody told Christian Bale this was going to kill your career.
I'm really glad that it was Christian Bale and not Leonardo DiCaprio, because while I think Leo's a great actor, I don't know how well he would have been able to do this.
Do you know where he got the idea for it to do Patrick from? There was a interview with Tom Cruise, and he modeled Patrick's facial expressions off of the Tom Cruise interview because he was like, oh, he looks fucking soulless.
Yeah, I think I have heard that before.
But that's the kind of thing. Like, when I think of Patrick Bateman, nobody could have done it as well as Christian Bale because he blends the absurdity with the superficial charm and does it phenomenally.
Absolutely.
Like, this was the movie that made him a lead actor. He was doing minor roles, or he would be the supporting actor. And then this movie came out. He fought very hard for it. Everybody said, don't do it. And then, boom, it comes out, and everybody was like, damn, Christian Bale, which was also super funny because I had no idea he's like fucking Welsh, I think. But I didn't know that. And a lot of people didn't know this because the whole time that he was doing American Psycho, he talked in an American accent, even offset. And then after they were done filming at the premiere, he was talking in his like native tongue, and they're like, "Oh, are you trying to do another role?"
He's like, "No, this is just how I talk, bud."
He's like, "No, yeah, fucking like Welsh. this is literally how I talk." But I thought that was funny.
No, that is hilarious. I didn't know that.
But yeah, no, he's not American. And if you've ever heard him talk, I think he's Welsh. But
man, how can you not be American and play in a movie called like American Psycho, bro?
That is fucked up. Okay. Very fucked up. But no, I really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, this movie is phenomenal. Everyone involved did a really great job.
Can we talk about the absurdity of the ending, though? Like, I think the ending deserves its own because, wow. This is where I really, and when you asked me that question of, did it all happen? No, and here's why.
Yeah, no, the ending is 100% why. Like, even with the inconsistencies up until the final, like, I don't even want to say act, the final, like, 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I'm like, oh, yeah, this could all be happening. Kind of makes sense. But then when that happens, I'm just like, oh, okay.
And here is what did it for me.
Okay. What was the specific point? Was it the feed me ATM?
There are three.
Okay.
There are three specific points. The first one is when he murders Elizabeth and Christy,
Okay.
which I really like that scene because it shows, again, how his feelings towards women are, because he literally convinces them to have sex with each other for his own enjoyment because he looks at women as tools.
Yeah.
But it's also super funny that he's giving like Whitney Houston facts while they're making out. And then she stops and laughs herself off the couch because he owns a Whitney Houston album. I thought that was funny. But when he kills Elizabeth and then picks up the chainsaw and Chrissy's running down the hall banging
On every door.
screaming. A chainsaw is revving. Okay. And nobody comes out.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. I'm like, okay, this isn't real. And then also when he drops the chainsaw and somehow it's still going. Like, I don't know if you know how chainsaws work, but you have to like
Hold the switch. Yeah.
Like there is a legitimate switch that you have. It's like a trigger that you pull.
Yeah, it's just like a lawnmower.
Yeah, yeah. And in order for it to rev and work, you have to grab the handle and push the lever to get it to work. And somehow it runs without that.
Listen, Taylor. Shut the fuck up.
But no, but that's the first one. The second one is the feed me when he's at the ATM and the ATM says feed me a stray cat and he just picks up this stray kitten and tries to like shove it in there.
That was so funny. Like, it's fucked up. So funny.
Yeah, this is a dark comedy.
Yeah.
But that one was fucked up. And then the definitive moment that you can go, this is all unbelievable, is when he gets into the shootout with the cops, fires 4 bullets and makes 2 of the cop cars explode, and then even looks at the gun himself in utter disbelief.
He goes, what the fuck?
He's like, what the fuck? So to me, that signified that none of this is real.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm right there with you.
Like, he imagined it. And the reason I don't think that Paul Allen died, that he didn't actually kill Paul Allen, is because at the end of the movie when he goes to the apartment and it is being renovated and is completely different, doesn't look anything like it did, and she's like, I don't know who Paul Allen is, made me think that he just randomly broke into an apartment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Or he killed a guy that wasn't Paul Allen, who he thought was Paul Allen, but wasn't Paul Allen. So maybe Paul, and like the funny part is, we talk about Paul Allen a lot because he's a huge catalyst for this whole movie, but he's only in the movie for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
I mean, his name is said a lot throughout the movie.
Oh, you have to know who Paul Allen is.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know who Paul Allen is, this movie doesn't make sense, because Paul Allen is what starts everything.
Well, Patrick Bateman is what starts everything.
I'm sorry. Patrick is the most important person in this whole fucking movie. There is nobody else. It's just Patrick.
And his imaginary friends and hallucinations.
Which are all in his head. I've killed 40, 50 people and I ate their brains.
So this movie isn't directly related to Joker, but Patrick Bateman played Batman and Joker is a Batman villain. So you've seen Joker, right?
Yeah, love it.
Okay. So, not related, kind of related. At the end of the Joker, which is spoilers for that, it's made to me to believe that nothing happened, that he's in a psych ward hallucinating everything.
Yeah, same thing.
You think this is the same movie?
No, I don't think it's the same movie. I think they are very different movies. But I think it's the same thing.
Same, but different.
I think that everything that we see, because even after he kills, God, I've said her name, Christy, with the chainsaw. And then the immediate one after that is him having dinner with Evelyn, breaking up with her,
Yeah.
which is the classic, where are you going? I have to return some tapes. I love that. I'm going to use that as an excuse.
Have you heard of Ice Nine Kills?
Yes, I do not like them.
Really, they sampled a lot of stuff for this movie for one of their songs.
Well, I like the concept of them. Like, that they're basically horror movies, and they do a lot of, B movies and stuff. Like, they're a B horror movie group. But their music annoys me. Like, really annoys me. But the concept's cool. Just don't like them.
That's fair. I'm sorry, continue.
But when he kills her, he is literally sketching on the table with a crayon the exact scenario that happened immediately after. And you could chalk it up to, he was just remembering it, but I think that he was fantasizing about it.
Yeah, we were watching his imagination of it happening while we were at the dinner, or while they were at the dinner.
Right, which is why when Chloe Sevigny, Jean, who is his receptionist, which if you want another form of misogyny, he says, don't wear that outfit again, wear a dress and
heels. I like high heels.
Yeah. You're prettier than that. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. That was douchey. Way to be a dick, Pat.
Yeah.
But when he calls her and starts freaking out on the phone and she can't make any sense of it, so then she finds his daily planner and opens it up. And it's normal at first, and then as you keep going, it gets way worse. If you look at them, a lot of the things that are in there, not all of them, but a lot of them we have seen happen. And they are things that have had happened. Or have had happen. Have happened, yeah. God, I can't fucking talk. But no, they have happened. And because of that, I think that what we saw was what he wanted to do and what he sketched, what he fantasized about, but he never actually did it. Like, truth be told, I don't even think he killed the homeless guy, really. I think none of this happened.
No, I'm right there with you. I don't think he killed anybody.
No.
I think he's just a harmless, little, emotionally unstable yuppie.
Well, I mean, technically, everybody thinks he's a loser. Like, everybody that talks about Patrick Bateman in this movie thinks he's a loser.
Yeah.
To Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
Which was funny.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when your dad's in control of the company.
Yeah, you're a little bitch. But no, I think that it was I think the graphicness and the rage of it is what you feel inside once you become that. I think the representation of the murders and all that was saying that if you are living the yuppie lifestyle, there becomes a point where everybody is interchangeable, nothing matters, and you are filled with rage because that's the only real part of you. And the rage is feeling inferior to people that you believe are superior to you and wanting to lash out and be better than them. And that's fundamentally all that capitalism is. When you feel like somebody is better than you, so you do something better than them.
I feel that.
I feel like I've dominated this episode. I apologize.
No, you're okay. I feel like, I mean, the thing is, a lot of what you've said I agree with. And we're talking about a movie that we've both seen
numerous times.
Dozens of times, probably. Or I wouldn't be surprised if I've seen this movie a dozen times. But, I don't think you've been talking a lot, but you're saying, you're just spitting facts, homie, so it's fine.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say my interpretation of things, but you agree with it. So is there anything specifically that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. We've hit everything I can think of that I was like, oh yeah, we should talk about that.
Because this is more of a movie about concepts and ideas than actually talking about the movie.
Exactly.
Like, there are really cool shots in the movie, don't get me wrong. But the movie was trying to convey something that people just don't get.
Some people.
A lot of people don't get, because Patrick Bateman is in pop culture.
Yeah.
And everybody knows who Patrick Bateman is. And people want to be Patrick Bateman. But why? Because you can find, his skincare routine, like I said. You can find his workout routine where he does 1,000 crunches a day. His vigorous
Well, the
routine.
thing is, even if he's even if he doesn't look good, or even if he's a bad guy, you can't deny that he looks fly.
He's pretty fly for a white guy.
Exactly.
But no, I think that when you idolize him and want to be him and dress up as him, you've missed the point of the whole fucking movie.
I mean, no, that's fair. That's a very valid perspective.
Like, you shouldn't want to be him. You should want to rally against consumerism and capitalism.
I don't know if you can say you should rally against consumerism and capitalism.
Well, it's also what the movie wants you to do, though.
Yeah, no, you could say that's what the movie's tried to say, but I don't think it's not the podcast's perspective that you should rally against anything. You should love everything and just be stoked on life.
It's a podcast approach that you should think for yourself, question authority, rally against capitalism. Because American Psycho told you to do it.
Definitely think for yourself.
Think for yourself, question authority, watch a movie and go, maybe I should, start a group. But yeah, no. I thought that was good. But no, you should always think for yourself in situations like this. And I think that when you don't do that and just take everything at face value, then it becomes a problem and you become what the movie was trying to tell you not to do.
Yeah. It's very warning. It's a cautionary tale
that satirizes the high life Wall Street yuppie culture.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great. You should go watch it.
If you haven't seen it, even if you have seen it, it's on HBO Max right now. You should just give it another little watch so that you have enjoyment in your life.
Definitely. And if not, fuck us. Who cares?
Yeah, that's fine.
But with that being said, you ready to play a game?
Yeah, I've heard we had a Taylor's Talk today.
We do. And we're going to play a game. And I'm going to call it That's Gross 1980s. And the whole point of this is I'm going to give you 4 movies from the year. For every year. We're going to do 10 of them from 1980 all the way to 1989. And I want you to tell me which of these 4 was the highest grossing movie for that year. Okay? So some of these are going to be popular movies. But only one of them was number 1 at the time. And the funny thing is, I would say that some of these on here aren't as popular today as they are,
Yeah, they were better in the 80s.
Right. So first one, 1980. Is it A, The Shining, B, Superman 2, C, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, or D, Cheech and Chong's next movie?
C.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
You are correct. Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back was the number 1 highest grossing movie in 1980.
Nice.
1981. Is it A, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, B, Escape from New York, C, Mad Max 2, or D, An American Werewolf in London?
Probably A, Indiana Jones.
You are correct. It's hard to argue. I mean, Indiana Jones did start an entire fucking series.
I mean, I think Escape from New York is probably my favorite movie on that list.
Mine would be An American Werewolf in London.
See, I like American Werewolf in London, and I have a Slaughtered Lamb cup. It's just I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's fair.
Okay.
1982. Is it A, The Thing, B, E.T., C, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, or D, The Dark Crystal?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
E.T.
There's no way.
Yeah, E.T.
It literally can't be. Oh, never mind. This is the whole time.
This is when they came out in 1982.
So that's
if we were talking
Friday
now,
the 13th Part 3 did better than E.T. in theaters, at least the first weekend.
but this is like gross overall. That's
okay.
why. Yeah. This is like counting, international, all that. So yeah, E.T. was the highest grossing one.
Interesting.
1983. Is it A, The Outsiders, B, Scarface, C, Risque Business, or D, Star Wars Return of the Jedi?
Probably Return of the Jedi.
It was Return of the Jedi.
Probably followed by Risky Business.
I don't know on that one. I like Risky Business a lot, though.
It's got Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's
Yeah.
one of his better. All right. 1984. Not the book. Is it A, Beverly Hills Cops, B, Gremlins, C, Footloose, or D, The Karate Kid? The original, not that shitty new one.
Probably Karate Kid.
It is A, Beverly Hills Cops.
That would have been my last guess.
Comedy was really big, and Eddie Murphy was huge at the time.
That's fair.
That's why. So how many of those have you gotten right?
I think I've gotten 2 of the 4, or 3 of the 5.
You got 3 of the 5, yeah. All right. You going to be 3 for 6 or 4 for 6?
We'll see.
1985. Is it The Breakfast Club, Commando, Out of Africa, or The Goonies?
Probably The Goonies.
It's Out of Africa.
I would have never guessed that.
I would have never... this was the hard one because I looked at that and I'm like, I've never even seen this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can tell which one out of these was better. Because The Breakfast Club, Commando, I mean, even Commando still, but like The Goonies are still watched today.
All 3 of those are movies I've heard of.
But not Out of Africa.
Huh.
All right, you were 3 for 6. All right, 1986, baby. Is it Little Shop of Horrors, The Fly, Labyrinth, or Top Gun?
Top Gun.
You are correct. It is Top Gun. You are 4 for 7 now.
That one was really... Dog, so if you're going to give them to me, you can't give me horror movies because I know they lose.
I mean, they're popular.
Or horror
movies.
adjacent.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. All right, 1987. Is it The Lost Boys, 3 Men and a Baby, Fatal Attraction, or The Princess Bride?
Probably The Princess Bride.
3 Men and a Baby.
I would have never guessed that.
Had Tom Selleck in it.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Tom Selleck is?
I've heard of the name, but I can't picture the face.
Oh, Tom Selleck's great. All right, 1988. Is it Heathers, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Die Hard, the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and that's literally what the title is. I'm not making that up. Or Rain Man?
Probably Die Hard.
It is Rain Man.
I mean, that's also a really good movie. I understand.
Really
And it's
good
got
movie.
Tom Cruise.
It does have Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has made this with 2 movies.
I should have just guessed it because of Tom Cruise being in it.
You should have, but that's okay. So you are 5 for 9 now?
I think so.
All right, last one. 1989. Is it Batman with Michael Keaton, Dead Poets Society with
Robin Williams.
When Harry Met Sally.
When Harry
When
Met
Harry
Sally.
Met Sally.
Didn't Jim Carrey star in a remake of that in the mid-2000s?
I think so. I think he did. This is the original, though. Or A Tale of Two Sisters.
Can I get the first 2 again?
Is it Batman with Michael Keaton or Dead Poets Society?
Dead Poet Society.
Batman.
Really?
Yeah, Batman.
Over Robin Williams?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, fuck Robin Williams, man. Michael Keaton's Batman. Because this also had Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
I mean, that's fair. It did have Jack Nicholson.
And this is also my favorite Batman movie.
It's good.
The best. You are correct. So you didn't do too bad. You were 50% on that one.
Yeah.
Was that fun?
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, those are the highest grossing movies for that year. And I did double check them and triple check them, but that was also according to IMDb. So just so you know, because, we like to do status. So yeah, now you know if you're listening to this, you're like, oh, I wonder what that is. There you go.
Now
Batman.
you know.
You're so mad that Batman beat out Dead Poets Society.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. Dead Poet Society is a better movie than Batman, in my opinion.
Well, you also have to look at the time period because even with, hold on, let me go back because I can't remember which one it is. Even if you looked at, 1987, right? 3 Men and a Baby is a movie I've never fucking seen.
No, me either.
But it's a comedy with Tom Selleck in it. And Tom Selleck was super popular at the time, right? Because like The Princess Bride is fucking amazing. I've watched that movie recently.
Yeah.
I love it. Fatal Attraction.
It's a great movie, yeah.
Great movie. One of my, like, if I was to make like a top 25 list, Fatal Attraction's in there. Love that movie. And The Lost Boys.
Yeah, The Lost Boys is also awesome. It's got fucking Kiefer Sutherland, bro.
And Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
And the 3 Men and a Baby. Because like those movies, obviously you can see which ones. And I think I also like this because you can see what movies have stood the test of time. That people go back and are like, oh, yeah, that's a really good movie. Because I don't fucking care about 3 men and a baby. Like it's a comedy movie from the 80s. That's three men taking care of a baby.
Not as good as Kingpin, I guarantee it.
I guarantee it's not as good as Kingpin. I guarantee it's not as good as The Lost Boys.
Guarantee it.
I care, but at the time,
It's probably not as good as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
no. But at the time, that was the movie.
No, I feel that. I'm here for it.
But yeah, one of them I had to give you because the Out of Africa, I was like, oh, he's gonna get this wrong because I've never heard of that movie. I got that one wrong, so I was like, well, I need to make one of them easy. So I gave you horror movies and the easy one. So that was the trade off on that one.
That's fair. That makes sense.
But yeah, that was like a critically acclaimed movie at the time. Apparently, won like an Oscar or some shit.
When I grow up, I want to be an Oscar.
I don't. Well, technically, you can be an Oscar now if you just change your name.
That was a joke.
Oh, was it a joke? Oops.
Yeah.
But did you have anything else you want to talk about?
I do not. I do not.
All right. Well, this has been Two Idiots, One Podcast, drinking old fashions.
And you're Taylor?
No,
Oh.
because you can look into my eyes, see my cold, hard gaze, shake my hand, feel flesh on flesh. But I'm not there.
That's not even the quote.
Yeah, I know. It's not close. But in the end, this confession meant nothing.
That is a quote.
So in the end, this podcast meant nothing. So it does not matter who I am.
But thank you for listening, and it matters a little bit who I am. I'm Bailey.
Bailey likes the status. I don't. You can see who's the yuppie in this situation.
Oh, it's definitely me.
Yeah, it's definitely you. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you taking the time. Be sure to check out the bio description for this one where we give you our link tree so that way you can see the dumb shit we do on social media.
Yeah, you can check out our TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also join our exclusive Facebook group where, we talk and have discussions about the podcast.
And if you have any ideas or something, feel free to put them there. If you want to talk to like-minded individuals that like the same stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Boom.
Or you can shoot us an email at 2idiots1podcast2022@gmail.com.
Or you can, text me and call my number because I'm pretty confident that you did not edit that one out.
I don't think I put it in there.
Oh, did you not? Damn, I'll have to go back and listen to that.
I'm pretty confident your number was cut out.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Told you to leave it in there.
I'm pretty sure I took it out.
We'll have to go back and listen to that then.
I don't even remember what episode it was.
I don't remember what episode it was either.
Well,
if someone knows.
If there's an episode out there that you guys have heard that Taylor reveals his phone number, please feel free to send it to everyone you know before you tell us about it.
And you should text me and be like, yeah, it was in there. That's all you got to say is, yeah, it was in there. And I'll be like, oh, fuck, okay.
That'd be pretty comical.
That'd be hilarious. So, but anyway, thank you guys for listening. This has been 281 Podcast. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Bailey.
Cue the outro music.
Bye.
Bye.